Hi, it's been a while. I wasn't sure how to begin this, and so much has happened and is still happening all at once. I feel an obligation to say something even if I stumble through it. I'm good at making films, so I might as well try to arrange my thoughts like Lars von Trier chapter break. Chapter 1. The Status Quo. The United States of Terra, America, is at war with Iran. In fact, it wages war on the entire globe and even its own working class, from ICE executions carried out on its streets in broad daylight to terror funding via tax money and economic collapse. It's ruled by a megalomaniacal love couple obsessed with hegemony. That's why Iran is being targeted. It's the only regional power capable of pushing back against US and the Israeli influence in the Middle East. Iran's attempt to hold the line against foreign imperialism, whether through its militia networks or proxies like Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and the now collapsed Syria, is treated as an unforgivable insult by the Epstein class, and so the latter drags the world toward a new global conflict for geopolitical and financial dominance, even as the global economy and innocent lives collapse under their ambitions. Chapter 2. Nightmare Blunt Rotation. Combine minimal IQ, lack of education, and intrinsic malice, and you get Iranian monarchists who are also Zionists and pro-Trump. Apologies, but you can't blame everything on a lack of education, a misguided notion of personal nostalgia, or mental health issues and shrug it off with, "Oh, I didn't know better." It's not that some don't know better. It's that they actively resist seeing what's in front of them, what was behind them, and what may lie ahead of them. They don't want to know better. The Iranian diaspora on foreign streets has developed a disturbing fetish for slogans like "President Trump, please bomb my people, please free my people from their bodies so that you can get even richer and abuse more children on Epstein Island." Trump's name appears more often in the Epstein files than Moses does in the Old Testament. This type of Iranian belongs in a mental institution or into a meat grinder. We do not claim him. As an Iranian, I feel secondhand embarrassment every time they shill for foreign intervention with that colonialistic slave mentality attitude, like a Stockholm Syndrome type slave who would willingly die for their owners. Yes, they exist, and crush any sign of rebellion, actively suppressing any hope for emancipation despite it being in their own best interest. Analogous to chickens defending KFC. Absolutely sad and despicable. It's ironic how they vehemently screech about human rights and human dignity while siding with the ethno-fascist apartheid and genocidal state of Israel, the United States of Epstein, America, or the puppet Pahlavi dynasty of Iran, the same dynasty, by the way, that crushed socialism and Marxism, persecuted people like Mohammad Mossadegh for trying to nationalize the Iranian oil industry, many of whom were killed, tortured by Sawak, or put under house arrest by a CIA-backed coup legislated by the Shah himself. Iranians who simply sought the best interests of their own country and dared to challenge the Machiavellian designs of Britain and America were persecuted by the Shah, who is nothing more than a meat puppet for Western interests. This brain rot was inherited by his delusional son, who gets aroused every time he hears the IDF and the Epstein class bombing his people or attempting to destabilize Iran via sanctions or illegal invasions, watching these events occur from afar like a cuckold. He dreams of one day becoming an established meat puppet just like his daddy, so that Israel and the United States of Epstein may throw him a bone in return, just as they did with his daddy-o. I could meme about this clown and his zombie cult all day, but I don't want to waste any more of my or your precious time on this bullshit. Chapter 3. The Solution. I'll probably get banned if I told you the actual solution, so the best thing I can do is to tell you to educate yourself about the historicity of geopolitical and economical interests through imperialism in general. The South African apartheid is a good place to start. Then maybe study the establishment of Israel via settler colonialism through the Zionist movement. Make sure to start from the beginning. Go all the way back, even before 1917, even before the Balfour Declaration and the Kibbutzim, let alone the Nakba and the massacre of Deir Yassin. Read about the atrocities committed by the Irgun and the Lehi, which were later absorbed into the Haganah and ultimately reformed as the IDF. Learn about the motivations behind the project to establish a state for the Jewish people and the ethno-fascist philosophy of Theodor Herzl himself and his party. which led to the ethnic cleansing and genocide of the indigenous Palestinians, of course. Make sure to study socialism, Marxism, communism, and capitalism, with capitalism being the root cause of the disproportionate wealth distribution that left the global economy in shambles for the working class, benefiting only rich oligarchs like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and so forth. If you have more questions about these topics, ask in the comments so I can inform you to the best of my abilities, or redirect you to useful literature or video sources if you don't like reading. Understanding why capitalism in its current form should be opposed or dismantled is also a key factor in understanding what motivates and enables these elites. Regarding historians, historical figures, and events, you should definitely study Norman Finkelstein, who wrote extensively about apartheid Israel and the ongoing genocide of Palestinians, or Ilan Pappé if you wish. Then study the westward expansion after the American Civil War, the conflict between Native Americans and the Union's expansion into native territory. Study South African Revolution in Johannesburg, then Malcolm X, Gandhi, and the Cuban Revolution led by Fidel Castro and Che Guevara. You could even go back as far as the slave revolt of Nat Turner, who used far more brutal methods for the emancipation of his people during the period of African chattel slavery, and you'll soon realize how mild the October 7th revolt was against the apartheid state of Israel in comparison. So read extensively, educate yourself so people can't take advantage of your ignorance regarding history, human rights, geopolitics, and economics. Stay safe and walk straight like Imam Hussein, Guy Fawkes, Che Guevara, Malcolm X, Mandela, Gandhi, Jesus. Always stood firm against injustice and oppression. All we demand is human dignity, equal rights, and a stable economy for the working class on a global level. Stay positive, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again.